No to w drogę. Ładny widok. Ogólnie grafika trochę się poprawiła względem jedynki. Lokacje są zdecydowanie ładniejsze. O, mamy pierwszego wroga. A tutaj figurka 25%. To chyba jest życie. Tak, to jest apteczka. W grze, z tego co widzę, amunicja jest nieograniczona. Przynajmniej wszystko na to wskazuje. Bo nie mam pokazanego limitu. Czyżby to był ten las? Nie, tam są ludzie. A co jest tutaj?
I don't need to go back that way.
Czyli tam nie mogę iść. No to idę do tych ludzi w takim razie.
This him?
Afternoon. You the gentleman staying out at the Weaver place? I'm Peter Durant. We heard you might be coming to town. You feeling better?
Much better. Thanks.
So this is the man everyone's been talking about. I figure he might be a good place to start, being a stranger and all.
Gentlemen, let's be a little more accommodating. This man is a guest of Mrs. Weaver, and we should show him the same respect that she does.
Well, maybe it'd be a good idea for Mr. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
I didn't mention it. But you can call me Lazarus.
Well, as I was saying, maybe it'd be a good idea for Mr. Lazarus to join us in the search. We know these woods better than anybody, and there's no sense having two people lost out there.
Yeah, we'll know right where you are when we have to come find you.
I appreciate your concern, gentlemen. I didn't have anything to do with Robin's disappearance, and I want to find her just as much as you do. I made Mrs. Weaver a promise that I would. Thanks for the offer, but I'm going to look for her by myself.
Mr. Lazarus, I'm Parson Vance. I take care of the spiritual needs of this town. When all this unpleasantness is over, I'd like to meet with you and tell you about our church.
You don't look so good, mister.
Why don't you come in and sit down? You boys go ahead and start the search. I'll take care of Mr. Lazarus and send him along when he's ready.
All right, Peter. Come on, boys. I want to get out there before dark. I don't want that poor little girl to have to spend another night out there.
Listen, friend, don't mind what the men are saying. Tensions are running a little high around here since Robin disappeared. There's always been talk of the woods being haunted. Robin disappearing just brought all those legends back to the surface. There's even a legend about a witch out there. But even a silly superstition can add fuel to the fire. Oh my. You don't look so good.
I'll be fine. I just need a minute. A minute to... October 24th, 1863. Dearest Anne, I encountered a rebel forager yesterday, which was quite a shock being so far behind the banks of the Potomac. I'm sorry to say that the man opened fire upon me, and it was my duty to kill him. I have arrived in the town of Burkittsville, Maryland, which is where my company is currently quartered. I have not yet met my new commanding officer, as he is a busy man, but I am waiting to report to him now, which has given me a moment to jot down these words.
Come in, Lieutenant.
Kolejna retrospekcja. Co to jest? Amunicja. I tutaj był obrazek.
Lieutenant Robert McNichol, reporting as ordered, sir.
Sit down, soldier. I understand you ran across a Confederate soldier yesterday outside of town.
Yes, sir. He was foraging for food.
Yes, I've gotten quite a few reports of rebel foragers from farms all over the county. The enemy sends in small teams like this from time to time to find food and supplies, and disrupt our communications whenever possible. I believe there's a small unit of maybe 8 to 10 men operating out of the woods, not far from town. That way they can conceal their movement and gather up the supplies they've been stealing before heading back for Virginia.
If you know where they are, why don't you just send a unit in after them?
That's why I need you, Lieutenant. Now, I'm sorry to have to do this to you so soon after your arrival, but you're the only combat-experienced officer I have right now, and we've got to put an end to these raids.
With all respect, sir, I was hoping to get a break from combat out here. My unit was wiped out at Gettysburg, and
I'm well aware of your record, Lieutenant. Listen, I get all kinds of troops assigned here, from down-home farm boys who don't know which end of a rifle to point at the enemy, to men who've seen way too much of the horror of war, like yourself. But I have to do the best I can with what I've got. Washington just can't afford to send any troops out here to track down a single rebel foraging unit, so we have to take care of them ourselves. And you're the only officer I have right now who isn't a green volunteer or useless at commanding men.
I know, sir, but
But nothing. I've seen your record, and you know how to lead men. Right now, I need a man like you, and I am giving you a direct order to take a small group and find those rebels. Now, Lieutenant, are you going to refuse this order?
No, sir. You can count on me. When do I leave?
Immediately. I've taken the liberty of selecting some men for you. They're waiting for you outside. They're good men, Lieutenant. 2 of them combat veterans, and a 3rd local man who's been stationed here about a year. Mosley's his name, and he should be able to tell you a bit about the local terrain. Your orders are to take your men and head toward the forest along the main road, crossing in when you meet Tappy Creek East. Find the rebels, report their strength, and avoid direct engagements if you're outnumbered. Otherwise, use your own discretion in confronting and eliminating any raiders you encounter. Any questions, Lieutenant?
Czyli mam znaleźć rebeliantów. Nie tędy, nie tędy, nie tędy. Dobra, gdzie jest ten cały zespół, mój oddział? Tutaj. Może zapiszę sobie grę. E2. I tutaj niestety muszę wejść w opcję. Dźwięk, wyłączyć miksowanie. Z tego względu, że tu często zacina się.
You the new lieutenant they assigned us?
I'm Lieutenant McNichol of Syracuse, New York. I've been assigned as your commanding officer.
I'm Private Mosley, sir. I'm originally from Rockville, but I was assigned here.
I'm Private Moore, sir, but you can call me Skunk. They call me that because I can sniff out trouble from a mile away.
I always thought it was because you stink.
And you are?
Corporal Newhouse. I was with the 15th Wisconsin at Chickamauga a few weeks back. Then they pulled those of us who survived that battle back here. Born in Ohio. Moved to Wisconsin to try my hand at mining.
And where are you from, Private Moore?
I'm from Pennsylvania, sir. Philadelphia.
Well, gentlemen, it seems that a band of rebels are operating out of the woods nearby, and they need us to root them out. Our orders are to track them down and capture them if we can, or shoot them if we can't. Gather up your field kits and meet back here in 1 hour to move out. Private Moore?
Call me Skunk, sir.
Private Skunk, see if you can arrange for us to acquire some dried beef and fresh vegetables to take with us. I don't intend on eating beans and hard bread tonight.
Yes, sir. I'll see what I can do.
Mr. Lazarus, are you okay? Are you okay? Thought I was gonna lose you for a moment there.
I'm sorry. I think I was just caught up in a memory.
Well, like I was telling you, the townsfolk of Burkittsville are prone to getting caught up in the hysteria of the local legends. Now, what's your involvement with the Weavers, if you don't mind my asking?
Mrs. Weaver took me in. I was hurt and I needed help. She asked me to find Robin in return. She seems to think I'm the only one that can find her. Curious woman, that Mrs. Weaver. She's convinced that the search party is doomed. She put the fear of God in me.
Yeah, she has that effect on people. Her whole family seems to be aware of things the rest of us aren't. Even little Robin seems to have some sort of unnatural affinity for those woods. Her son was like that too, before he died, and they say her mother was even more attuned to the spirits, but I didn't know her. Died in childbirth, I believe. I think they're just folks who are good at telling stories and amusing people around the campfire.
Where do you think the little girl is?
That girl is a bit rambunctious, and no doubt she's having a grand adventure out there.
No dobra. To teraz gdzie tutaj pójść? Chyba w tą stronę. Te jasne punkciki to artefakty. To nie jest nic do podniesienia. O, chyba dobre miejsce. Zapiszę grę. Co tu jest w ogóle? To jakieś zabudowania? Tu nic, tam coś się świeci. Oho, to jest dalej niż myślałem. Będzie apteczka. Życia mam dużo, więc nie będę używał na razie. Tu coś jest. O, coś tam było. Jakaś latarnia. Zapis.
October 24th, 1863. The horrors of battle have followed me even to this remote corner of the war. I have been assigned to command a small group of soldiers into the woods of central Maryland to track down a band of rebel foragers that have been raiding small farms in the area. The troops I've been assigned seem to be good men at first glance, and God willing, I will prove a suitable officer to lead them. I almost hope that we find the rebels gone when we arrive in the woods. I'm not sure if I have the stomach for killing men after what I saw at Gettysburg.
Hey, Mosley, how well do you know this area anyway?
Well enough? Why?
'Cause I was hoping you could tell me where a smartly dressed Union enlisted man might meet some female company.
Skunk, the only ladies a man like you is gonna meet in this area are certainly smart enough to steer clear of you.
Maybe you're just jealous.
Quiet. What's up there, Lieutenant?
I'd say it's a group of rebels tearing up the tracks. Spread out, boys. I think we can take them.
Looks like it's time to whoop us some rebels.
Keep quiet, Private. Take ambush positions and wait for me to begin firing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dobra. Dwójka, gdzie to jest? Tu coś jest. To mój. Kurde, stąd nie strzelę. Tu jest amunicja. Tędy się nie da przejść, ktoś biegnie. Nie żyją. O! Tu był gostek, tu był gostek. O. apteczki.
Look at that! We sure whooped them.
No officer here. Just a small raiding party. The rest will be hiding out in the woods.
Yes, I think...
There's another one! Get him!
You okay, boy? If I didn't know better, I'd say you'd seen a ghost.
Who are you?
My name is Steuben. I was just walking by on my way into town to buy some supplies when I nearly stumbled over you. Are you all right?
I think so. Yes.
What is your name?
Lazarus. Call me Lazarus.
Like the man who rose from the dead, huh? Interesting name. So what are you doing out here by this old railroad crossing?
I was on my way into the woods to search for the Weaver girl. Do you know about her?
I think everybody knows about her by now. Went missing in the woods. I ran into Parson Vance and his search party on their way into the woods to look for her. So you're heading out there too? Well, the sun's about to set. Hope you're planning on spending tonight.
What do you know about the woods?
Yeah, for starters, I live out there. I built myself a house back past the old cemetery when I first moved to this area. I don't like people much. And the woods are, well, they're peaceful. And most people don't have use for an old blind man. And an immigrant at that.
Blind?
Just like a bat, I'm afraid. But if you're heading into those woods, I'm the man to ask if you want to know anything.
Można go wypytać w sumie.
Have you run across the Weaver girl?
No, not since she disappeared. She sometimes came to play out by my house. And she sure is a sweet little girl. Always brought me flowers. If she comes by the house door, you can bet I'll be sure to send her right home.
What can you tell me about the woods?
Well, they say there's witches in those woods. Of course, they say a lot of things. Everybody seems to have a tale or two about those woods. And I have to confess, I do my best to add to them. Keeps unwanted trespassers away from the house. The story I hear most is that there's an old lady who lives in the woods and feeds on the little kitties. But I've never seen her. Of course, I never see anything. The scariest thing I ever heard in the woods was an old owl. Still, they say the spirits of the dead from your war between the states still walk the trees looking for something or someone. Me? I think they're just stories. But if they keep the locals from bothering me, all the better.
How can a blind man survive all alone in the woods?
I like a man who doesn't mince words. And a good question it is. I've been blind since my mother tossed me into the world. But my lack of sight has led my other senses to make up for it. I can hear things no other man can hear. I can also smell things long before they get to me. Plus, I've learned other ways of dealing with life in the woods. I get along just fine.
An immigrant, huh? Where are you from?
I'm from Bavaria. The Black Forest, to be specific. I had to leave a few years back, and I came to this place. It was almost as if I was called here. But that sounds like the rantings of an old madman, doesn't it? That's all I have to say.
Okej, to powiedział wszystko, co wie.
That sounds like the Weaver girl. Maybe you won't have to spend the night in those woods after all.
Robin, wait!
Zanim tam pójdę, jeszcze jedna rzecz mnie ciekawi, czy tu widziałem apteczkę w tej retrospekcji, czy ona tu będzie teraz? Nie ma, to są jakieś młoty. Czyli tamta wersja bohatera, a ta chyba ma oddzielny ekwipunek, jeszcze się upewnię. Tu mam tylko jedną apteczkę, czyli tak, szkoda. No i teraz tak patrzę na czas, jest 20 minut nagrania. Zobaczę, gdzie to prowadzi. I tutaj chyba zakończę ten odcinek, a później ruszę za tą dziewczynką. Jeśli tu nic nie będzie. Wow, duchy. O kurde. Dużo życia zabierają. Nie wiem, czy go zabiłem, czy nie. Jeden zginął, drugi też, dobra. Jak daleko ciągnie się ta lokacja? To jest wejście do lasu, czyli tutaj zakończę. A w następnym odcinku wchodzę.